On this episode, we're going to talk a little bit more about fertilizer. We introduced fertilizer a few episodes back, just some basics, and now we're going to get a little bit more in depth. Before you start fertilizing, there's a few things you need to consider. You need to figure out if your soil actually needs fertilizer. There may be plenty of fertility already there, and you can get a soil test done fairly cheaply by your local extension service, or you can buy a little kit. Something else to consider is, could you just water more often to get the same results as adding more fertilizer? You don't necessarily need to give more food to your plants. The plants just need to have more access to that food. And in order to have access to it, they need to have enough water to use it. So just increasing your irrigation schedule may be enough to increase your yields. Something else to think about is quality versus quantity. If you're fertilizing heavily to get more food or more fruit production on your tomato plants, let's say, is it more important to get a bunch of lower quality fruit, or do you want just a few high quality fruits for you to eat and enjoy? I'm not saying don't fertilize your plants, but just consider what you need to do to get your plants where you want them to be. Fertilizer is not always the answer. When you're deciding what kind of fertility you want to add to your soil, there's a big debate between traditional forms of fertility and organic forms of fertility. We really sort of encourage using a more organic approach. Organic is a loaded term nowadays, but when we use it here, we're indicating using fertility from non-fossil fuel sources, from naturally occurring sources. Whether or not they're certified organic, it seems to be a debate. But we're not into that sort of thing. I'm more into providing the best health for your plants possible. If you want to think about it this way, organic fertilizers and soil amendments are, that's your good food, that's your healthy living, that's a long-term choice. While traditional fertilizers from fossil sources or synthetic fertilizers are more like medicine. When you're sick or when your plants need a quick boost, these fertilizers really are much faster to respond and will provide quicker results. So I'm not really advocating for either too strongly. I'm just saying be aware of what you're putting on your plants. Bottom line with fertility, regardless of if you choose organic or traditional sources, is timing. When you're using more organic soil amending type products, you want to do it in the spring and in the fall, incorporating that stuff into the soil. You can also apply to your plants during the season, but it's not going to be one of those regular every couple weeks type of thing, as opposed to traditional chemical sources of fertility where you'd be applying every 10 to 14 days depending on what the label recommends. And if you're using CowPots, CowPots have some fertility in them because they are made from manure, but not quite enough to sustain your plants entirely. So you'll still need to use some supplemental fertilizing, whether it's organic fertilizer or a traditional source of fertility. Well, that's all that we have to talk about this time. Thanks for listening, and join us next time when we give you more garden tips from CowPots.